Today's story is basically about a lawyer who is extremely skilled at his job, but he misuses his talent by defending criminals and helping them escape justice. So let's begin this story. The story starts in a courtroom where we see a young girl testifying against her school teacher, claiming that he did something inappropriate to her. The judge asks her for a full description of what happened. After listening to her testimony, Kevin Lomax, who is the lawyer defending the teacher, starts believing that his client might actually be guilty. The girl also says that the teacher didn't just abuse her, but other students at school as well. After hearing all of this, Kevin feels like there's no way he can win the case now, and perhaps doesn't even want to anymore. Kevin then asks the judge for a 15-minute break, which is granted. During the break, he threatens his client and tells him to stay away from him. Kevin then goes into the bathroom to vent his frustration, thinking hard about what to do next. Just then, a reporter named Larry walks in and says to Kevin, "Looks like today you're about to lose your first case." This hits Kevin's ego hard, and instead of following his conscience, he walks back into the courtroom. Once back, Kevin bombards the girl with aggressive questions. He asks, "Isn't it true that you once drew an ugly cartoon of your teacher because you hated him? Isn't it possible you framed him just because he's an overweight, weird-looking guy?" The girl tries to explain that it was just a joke, but Kevin manipulates the context to make it look like his client is the real victim here. He then asks the girl, Barbara, "Have you ever hosted a party at home?" She says yes. Kevin continues, "Was that an adult party?" She admits it was, but only once. Kevin's real point is to prove that Barbara convinced her friends to lie about the teacher so her own claims would seem more credible. Because Barbara had sworn on the Holy Bible, she had to admit the truth, and the case took a dramatic turn. Barbara tries to explain that she did it because she didn't want to be alone, but no one listens. It's ruled that the teacher, Geddes, is innocent. Nobody understands how Kevin managed to win the case, but I'll explain it in short. First, he showed the cartoon Barbara drew of the teacher to prove that the students bullied him, which earned him some sympathy. Then, by targeting Barbara's character and exposing her party, Kevin made her confession seem unreliable. In this way, he buried the truth and helped a likely predator walk free. After winning, Kevin drinks heavily to celebrate, but in doing so, he's left a dangerous man free, someone who could be a threat to other young girls. Kevin is fully aware of right and wrong, but for him, success matters more than justice. In the middle of the party, a man named George approaches Kevin with an offer he can't refuse: move to New York and help select juries. In return, Kevin and his wife will get free housing and food. Kevin immediately agrees. We then see a church scene where people are praying. There, we meet Alice Lomax, Kevin's religious mother. Kevin knows nothing about his father because he left when Kevin was just 3. His mother means the world to him. He visits her to ask whether he should move to New York. She refuses, saying the city is full of sin and ruled by devils. But Kevin charms her into agreeing and soon leaves Florida for New York with his wife, Mary Ann. In New York, Kevin completes his jury selection assignment successfully, and George wins his case. Next, we're introduced to John Milton, who owns New York's most powerful law firm and has been keeping a close eye on Kevin. Milton is impressed by Kevin's success and invites him to join the firm, promising him everything: money, power, women, whatever he desires. During their conversation, Milton quotes a Bible verse, Matthew 10:16, "Behold, I send you out as sheep among wolves, so be wise as serpents and innocent as doves." He tells Kevin to remember this verse, as many secrets will unfold from it. After this, George and his wife show Kevin and Mary Ann their new luxurious apartment. Kevin then gets his first case from the firm, a man named Moyes, who was caught sacrificing animals in his home, performing some kind of black magic. Proving him innocent will be very difficult, but in court, Kevin uses his old technique of twisting words and facts to his advantage. Kevin argues that everyone has the right to follow their own beliefs, even if that means sacrificing an animal or harming themselves. He gives several examples, like people who walk on fire or perform extreme rituals as part of their faith. Hearing these arguments, even the judge is left thinking deeply, and once again, Kevin wins the case. Kevin now becomes so busy working with John Milton that he barely has time for his wife, Mary Ann. But at this point, Mary Ann doesn't seem to mind, as she's enchanted by the glitz and glamour of the new city. One night, Kevin and Mary Ann attend a party hosted by John Milton. Before they leave, Mary Ann makes Kevin promise not to leave her alone at the party. But once there, Kevin quickly gets distracted talking to another woman named Natasha, while Mary Ann is left searching for him. During this time, John Milton meets Mary Ann and starts openly flirting with her. The two share drinks, and John suggests she should straighten her hair. Then he says something shocking. "Before someone lays an egg in your nest, you better fix your hair." He says this with such confidence and pressure that Mary Ann actually starts to consider it. After the party, Kevin, George, John, and John's old lawyer Eddie meet in John's office. There's a major new case on the table. The case of Alex Cullen, a wealthy businessman accused of murdering his wife, adopted son, and maid. Originally, Eddie was supposed to handle the case, but John decides to give it to Kevin instead. Eddie is furious. Later, when Kevin returns home, he finds Marianne drunk and furious. She had to spend 3 hours alone at the party despite Kevin's promise. She lashes out at him, understandably upset. The next day, we meet Alex Cullen. He is not happy about John's decision to replace a seasoned lawyer like Eddie with a newcomer like Kevin. But John assures him that Kevin has never lost a case and has proven himself as one of the best in the business. Convinced by John's confidence, Alex agrees to cooperate with Kevin until the next hearing. He insists he's innocent, claiming that when he arrived home, the 3 victims were already dead. We then see Marianne spending time with George's wife. But something strange happens. Marianne sees a completely different face on her. It's unclear if this was a hallucination or a side effect of the alcohol, she tells Kevin, but he dismisses it as just her imagination. Marianne becomes more disturbed as she spends most of her time alone in their massive apartment. Kevin is constantly with John Milton, and the loneliness starts to consume her. Kevin thinks having a baby might help fix things, but when he approaches Marianne, he suddenly sees Natasha's face instead of hers. Meanwhile, Kevin interrogates Alex Cullen and asks why he picked up the gun at the crime scene. Alex explains that he panicked and thought there might be another intruder in the house. That night, Alex had been with his assistant Melissa. If Melissa testifies to that, Alex could be cleared of the charges. So now Kevin needs to meet Melissa. Back at home, seeing Marianne's deteriorating condition, Kevin calls his mother to come to New York. Right then, John suddenly shows up with 2 young women. Seeing John, Kevin's mother becomes visibly nervous. In the elevator, John questions her, but she only stares at him without saying a word. The next day, Kevin meets Melissa. She confirms that Alex was with her that night and swears he didn't commit the murders. Then we see Kevin and John traveling on the subway. John stares at a random man so intensely that the man becomes angry and starts shouting. He even pulls out a box cutter, frightening everyone. But John remains calm. He speaks in the man's language and tells him that his wife is cheating on him, and even names the man she's with. Shocked, the man rushes out of the subway to go home. Kevin is stunned, unable to comprehend how John knew all that. Later, they go to a boxing match, and somehow, John already knows who will win. But how does John know everything? That's a mystery that will be revealed at the end of the film. John is the kind of man who always has women around him. Now, he's molding Kevin into someone just like himself. Meanwhile, Marianne is mentally falling apart. She has a dream that she'll never be able to become a mother, and she believes it's true. Despite Kevin's attempts to reassure her, she refuses to believe it was just a dream. Kevin shares his concerns with John, who advises him to drop the case and focus on Marianne, since she needs him most right now. But Kevin isn't willing to back down from the case, even if it means putting Marianne second, and he proves it. In court, the opposing lawyer ruthlessly attacks Alex's character. When Kevin's turn comes, he starts by saying, "I don't like Alex Cullen either, just like you, and I wouldn't be surprised if you agree with me." He adds that Alex Cullen is the kind of man who... Kevin begins his argument by saying that Alex Cullen is a man who cheats on his partners, fights with his family, and even has fraud cases filed against him. Because of all this, none of us like Alex Cullen, and for a moment, it even feels like Kevin is not on Alex's side but supporting the other side. But then Alex says something that shocks the entire courtroom. He says, "I want you all to ask yourselves, is disliking someone enough reason to convict them of murder?" Once again, Kevin turns the context around, portraying the accused not as a criminal, but first as a victim. And with that, the day's court session ends. Now Kevin has Melissa, who could potentially prove Alex's innocence. He begins coaching her with various questions so that she doesn't say anything wrong in court. But during the training, Melissa gets stuck on one detail, and Kevin realizes she's lying. That means it was actually Alex who committed the 3 murders. This revelation completely shakes Kevin. He tells John Milton what he's learned. John advises him to listen to his heart and says, "Maybe it's time Kevin loses a case for once." "You don't always have to win," John tells him. But Kevin being Kevin, he refuses to let the case go because he simply doesn't believe in losing. And because of him, Alex Cullen walks free. Kevin then goes to Marianne, who is now extremely scared. She reveals that someone has done something horrible to her, and that someone is none other than John Milton. She says it all happened earlier that very afternoon. But Kevin remembers that John was with him in the courtroom at that exact time. Marianne's condition worsens rapidly, so Kevin rushes her to a doctor. But even the doctors conclude she's lost her sanity and decide to admit her to a psychiatric hospital. The next day, a man from the Justice Department meets Kevin. At first, Kevin doesn't want to talk to him, but then the man reveals something shocking. The school teacher Kevin helped defend was caught that very morning, and the dead body of a 10-year-old girl was found in his car. Hearing this, Kevin freezes. The man continues. He's been investigating John Milton for a long time. He says John's company operates all over the world and is involved not only in law, but in weapons manufacturing, drug production, and almost every dark business. Now, he needs Kevin's help to bring John down. But just then, a car runs the man over. Kevin rushes to Marianne, whose condition is even worse now. There, he meets his mother too, who had arrived because of Marianne. Kevin's mother takes him aside and finally tells him a secret. She had come to New York once before on behalf of the church, in 1966. Back then, she stayed at a hotel where Kevin's father worked as a waiter. There was something about him that pulled her toward him. Kevin is shocked, barely able to comprehend what he's hearing. He doesn't even finish listening to his mother. Meanwhile, Marianne, in a state of madness, slits her throat with a piece of glass right in front of Kevin. He cries and screams, but by some miracle, Marianne survives and is taken to the ICU. Kevin's mother then tells him that his father knew the Bible inside out. He once told her, "Behold, I am sending you out as a sheep among wolves." And that's when Kevin finally understands. The man who fathered him is none other than John Milton. Kevin rushes to confront John, but John's office is no ordinary office. And John is no ordinary man. He is Lucifer, the god of hell. Kevin points a gun at him and demands to know what he did to Marianne. John confesses everything. Kevin then shoots him multiple times, but the bullets have no effect. John tells him calmly that the very bullets were made by him. John then reveals his true identity. "Some call me Satan, others Lucifer. But you can call me Dad." He tells Kevin that it wasn't he who did all this, but Kevin himself. He reminds Kevin of what he said on the subway. "Maybe you should lose this one." But Kevin replies with his iconic line, "Lose? I don't lose. I win. That's what I do." John accuses Kevin of ignoring his wife, of prioritizing his cases over everything, and basically shows Kevin how he himself is responsible for the path he chose. Then John reveals his ultimate plan. Kevin must have a child with his half-sister Natasha. This child will rule the earth. Kevin says that while he cannot change the past, he still has free will. He puts the gun to his own head and shoots himself. As a result, John and Natasha burst into flames and are sent back to hell. But suddenly, Kevin wakes up. It was all a vision. He's back in the bathroom at the start of the movie, during the Guide's schoolteacher case. Larry enters and tries to convince Kevin to continue fighting the case, but this time, Kevin refuses. He's learned his lesson. Larry is disappointed by Kevin's decision, but Marianne is by Kevin's side, and he's overjoyed to have her back. Larry tries once more to tempt Kevin, but Kevin doesn't give in. In the end, Larry transforms, revealing that he is actually Lucifer, and he says, "Vanity, my favorite sin." Vanity means excessive pride, and that's what Kevin has finally overcome. And maybe the devil exists, maybe he doesn't, but you've probably heard of the 7 deadly sins. It's said they are gifts from the devil to mankind, designed to destroy us, and that's exactly what the devil wants. With that, this story comes to an end. And that wraps up today's mind-blowing story. Wasn't that a roller coaster? If this twist-filled tale gave you goosebumps, make sure to smash that like button. Also, I want to hear from you. What would you have done if you were in Kevin's place? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to Desi Flicks for more amazing movie breakdowns just like this. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. I'll see you in the next one.